What's happening, beautiful people, and welcome to the Get Moving 4-Week Challenge, Week 1, Day 1. The focus for today is going to be establishing a fundamental awareness of the breath. We're going to try a little self-myofascial release on the bottom of the feet with a lacrosse ball. We're going to transition into a few dynamic mobility patterns, and we'll finish off with a little bit of core. Now, first and foremost, let's kick it off with the breath here because it is the most fundamental aspect of everything. If you ain't breathing right, you shouldn't be moving. And the reality is most of us tend to not breathe deeply enough, breathing only into our chest, kind of overactivating and tightening the chest and underactivating or really never touching base with the muscles of the core, the transverse abdominis, the diaphragm, and the pelvic floor. So to help drive the point home today, we're gonna start off in a seated position here. You can use a chair, I'm gonna use a bench, and we're gonna work with the feet in neutral here, so hip width apart, nice tall posture, and we're just gonna take a few breaths in which we follow the air into the belly, filling up through the nose, expanding the belly as much as we can, and then exhaling through the mouth, drawing the belly button toward the spine. So let's get 5 quality breaths like that. Inhaling as big as we can into the belly. And then exhaling, drawing that belly button toward the spine. 4 more like that. Inhale. Feel the belly expand. And then feel those core muscles contract on the exhale. Inhale big. Expand as much as you can. And then let that breath flow out. Belly button to spine. 2 more. And 1 more. Very, very nice. Drawing that belly button all the way to the spine and engaging that transverse abdominis as much as we can. Excellent. We're going to continue to build on that throughout the course of the week. But for today, the idea was to touch base with the breath and become aware of where is my breath going. We want to get it into the belly. All right, so from there, let's transition into a little bit of self-myofascial release with a lacrosse ball. So we're working barefoot here because we're going to start with the bottom of the feet. Everything starts from the ground up, so that's where we want to begin to release the tension. So the idea here is to just from a standing position, kind of work the lacrosse ball underneath the foot, and we're just scanning for tension, scanning for tight spots on the bottom of the feet, all through the arch, through the front of the foot, the ball of the foot, the outside edge of the foot, the heel. And when we encounter a particularly tender or tight spot, the idea is just to pause and kind of lean into a little bit as much as we can. We don't want to push through pain here, through excessive pain, but it's definitely not going to tickle. And we're going to lean into that tender spot until we begin to notice a change in that tissue. And as we begin to release tension from the bottom of the feet, that's going to work its way all the way up the kinetic chain and release tension in tight spots all throughout the body. So again, just sweeping through, scanning for tight spots. When we find one, I just found one right in the center of my foot. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to lean into a little bit. And after just a few seconds of holding this position, you start to notice a change in that tissue. The tension's releasing, and then you can continue to broaden your scope. And we're going to work another 10 seconds on this foot. We'll do about a minute on the bottom of each foot. This is a great practice to work on regularly, and I'm pretty sure you'll start to see the benefits just after today. And let's go ahead and work into the other foot. So again, begin by just scanning and sweeping the entire bottom of the foot, the arch of the foot, the ball of the foot, the center of the foot, the heel, scanning for those tender spots, and then pausing and leaning into them when you feel them. Now, in addition to releasing tension all the way up the kinetic chain in the muscles, the bottom of the feet and the tension stored in the bottom of the feet also affects our organs. We have a lot of acupressure points on the bottom of the feet, trigger points on the bottom of the feet that when released have positive impacts on, like I said, muscle tension, organ function, lymphatic drainage, and even blood flow. So a lot of benefits in taking a few minutes every single day to pick a body part. Today we're doing the bottom of the feet and work a little bit of rolling. So about another 10 or 15 seconds here. So just continuing to scan and just working through that tension. Not too shabby. All right, so from here we can get rid of the cross ball as well. And let's transition into a few simple dynamic stretches. The first one, we're going to start with a hip width stance, and my left set of toes are pointing up. All I'm gonna do is reach toward the floor, keeping nice alignment in my spine here, and stand tall. And then from there, we're gonna rinse and repeat on the opposite side. Sweep and stand tall. Now this leg in which my toes are pointing up is as straight as possible, and then I can work a bend in the backside knee. And the idea here is to get about 5 or 6 on each side. I think this is 3 for me, so we'll do another 3. Synchronizing movement to breath. I'm letting that air flow out as I work into my hinge, creating space for that hinge all throughout my belly and my rib cavity. Nice and smooth. You don't have to hit the floor. The idea is to keep nice alignment in the spine, so not allowing for the spine to round. Nice alignment in the spine. You can feel a nice stretch here in the back of the leg and the hamstring and in the calf. Marvelous. Good, good, good. We can roll the shoulders here a little bit. And then from there, we're gonna go into a knee tuck. So rooting myself through the bottom of my left foot, I'm gonna bring the right knee into the chest and give myself a hug. Knee up, toe up here. And then we're gonna rinse and repeat on the opposite side. Forcing all of that air out as I bring the knee into the chest. Again, making room for that leg as it comes into the chest. And again, about 5 or 6 on each side or will do. Thinking about nice tidy posture here, shoulders stacked right over the hips. And I'm really rooted through the bottom of my foot here, squeezing the floor with my foot. I encourage everyone to do these barefoot to really compound and further establish that natural biofeedback loop from the ground through the bottom of the feet all the way up through the body. A lot of muscles in the feet that are dormant because of modern day shoes. Let's do one more of these on each side. Nice. Beautiful. Good, good, good. So from there, we're gonna work from a seated position and we're gonna start to open up the hips a little bit. So sitting nice and tall on your sit bones with the feet flat, you can use your hands for support. The idea is going to be to just drop the knees to one side, pick them up, come through neutral, which is that starting position, and then drop them to the other side. Maintaining as tidy of a posture as possible. So nice upright spine. You can use your hands for support. Work your way up to your fingertips. And we're just gonna work about 5 or 6 again on each side. So 10 to 12 total reps in which we lift the knees, lift the legs, transition through this neutral position where the feet are flat, and then just let the legs fall over to the opposite side. And I'll work another few here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Smooth posture, smooth breath, forcing that air out as the knees fall. Taking a sip of air, and then forcing it out as it falls to the other direction. Let's do one more on each side. Marvelous. Not too shabby there. And then from there, we're gonna work in this quadruped position here. So hands and knees, hands are gonna be shoulder width apart, knees are gonna be hip width apart, and you can tuck the toes or you can leave the top of the foot flat, whatever feels better for you. I like to tuck the toes, it helps me feel rooted. Now the idea here is to take a breath in and arch the lower back eyes up to the sky, and exhale, round, tug the tail, round, bring the chin to the chest. Inhale, arch, push into the ground, staying rooted through the balls of your feet, eyes go up. Exhale, draw the belly button toward the spine, round, tuck the tail and push into the ground here, chin to chest. And we'll do a few more like that. Allow that breath to be vocal. Don't worry about your breath being silent. Allow that breath to be vocal so that you can just enhance the awareness. Inhale, arch the spine, looking up big. Exhale, round, chin to chest. Inhale. Exhale, mobilizing the spine, becoming aware of our pelvic position, becoming aware of the breath and where it's going. One more, just like that. Inhale, big. And exhale. Nice, not too shabby. If the toes were tucked, you can untuck the toes and kind of pat the top of the feet here on the floor. That usually feels pretty good. And while we're in this position, we're gonna try one more pattern here. And this is to kind of become aware of our scapula position. So the idea here is just to drop the chest here right in between the shoulders and then push up out of the scap. So right in between the shoulder blades or right in between the shoulders, and then we're gonna push. And we're gonna just become aware of the mobility in the shoulder blades, in the scapula. Become aware of our position. A lot of times we're doing push-ups or we're doing exercises in which we're in this plank position or this quadruped position, and we're really dumping a lot of weight into the shoulder joints, into the shoulder blades. We have misalignment. So the idea here is to become aware of the two extremes. I'm dropping my chest as much as I can, right in between my shoulders, and then I'm pushing out of the scaps. I'm packing my shoulders. So let's do a few more like that. Forcing the air out as I pack and push. Taking my breaths or my sips of air in between. Two more here. Nice, not too shabby at all. So from there, we're gonna transition into a half kneeling position. So 90 degrees in both of our knees, and the legs are gonna be hip width apart. We're gonna start with the left leg up front, or at least I am, and I'm rooted through this left foot, rooted through the ball of my back foot. And the idea here is just gonna be to lean forward as much as I can, driving my left knee right over my left toe, keeping nice alignment here in the spine. I'm gonna feel a nice stretch here in this backside hip flexor, and then I'll shift out. So we're gonna work in a dynamic fashion here, creating as much space as we can, and then pushing back to the starting position, shoulders right over the hips. Mindful to stay rooted through the bottom of this front foot, so not allowing the heel to come up or any misalignment to take place. If you notice you lose your alignment, regain that alignment. That is right underneath the breath in terms of fundamentals. Forcing all of the air out as I work into this lean, into this stretch, feeling a nice stretch in this backside hip flexor, and then pushing up out of there. And we'll get a few more on this side. If it feels good, you can reach overhead as you lean forward. Get one more. Good stretch here, really exaggerating, leaning, getting that knee as far over the toe as we can. Nice stretch here in this hip flexor. And then we'll back up out of there. And we'll go ahead and we'll switch sides here. And just showing a little love to the opposite side. Again, working within the space that's available to you today. We don't want to push into any painful ranges of motion. A little bit of tightness, a little bit of discomfort is to be expected, especially if this is your first time or first time in a long time working some of these patterns. but we're not pushing through excessive pain. With daily practice, which is what this 4-week challenge is all about, you'll find that you can quickly restore mobility that you may have lost due to lifestyle or just not moving around enough. So we'll do a couple more here on this side. Leaning into it, exhaling all of the air, staying rooted through this front side foot, getting a nice stretch, and then pushing about. Very nice. And then from there, let's finish off with a solid core pattern here. So we're gonna get back into that quadruped position. Hands are gonna be shoulder width apart, knees are gonna be hip width apart, and we're gonna tuck the toes here, and the idea is to simply lift the knees off of the ground here, just high enough so that your shoulders are in line with your hips. So not too high, not too low. Find that nice neutral position. We're gonna find the alignment in the scapula. So going back to that scapula push-up, you don't wanna be dumping into the scap back here. You wanna push out of it and pack those shoulders. Keep the eyes right in between the fingertips. And I'm gonna peek at my watch here, and we're gonna hold this for about a minute here. And the idea is just to establish an awareness of the alignment of the joints in the body, establish an awareness of the breath. Going back to that first drill we did. So forcing all of the air out, keeping that maximum core engagement, taking sips of air, holding, and then regulating that air on the way out. The core typically turns off when we have no awareness and no control over the breath. We got these sloppy, all over the place breaths, and that just gives the core an opportunity to turn off, thus creating a state of misalignment. So you want to really just be acute here and focus, keeping all the alignment nice and tidy, spine and head in neutral, driving those palms into the earth. We're just going to hold this position here. This is a fundamental pattern. Again, breath and alignment. Take a quick peek at the watch here. Let's go for another 15 seconds. If you notice you slide out of alignment, or if you have to pause for a second, no problem, just hop right back in there. Regulating the breath. Let's go for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Not too shabby, guys. Give yourselves a big round of applause and a pat on the back here for taking the time for yourself to establish a connection with that body, change that body chemistry. Excellent work today. I look forward to catching you guys here tomorrow for session number 2.